A report analysing the Australian agricultural statistics system and comparing it with the United States and French systems has been released. The report was compiled by the Australian Farm Institute and found that the Australian agricultural statistics system has not been performing, due in part to a lack of funds and also the fact the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry did not have responsibility for the collection of data. I spoke with Australian Farm Institute Executive Director Mick Keogh after he presented the findings of the report at the Farm Writers Association of New South Wales lunch in Sydney last week.
I guess the main thing that we found was that overseas governments tend to give responsibility for agricultural statistics to their agricultural agencies. So the people who are dealing with the sector all the time are also the people who are responsible for collecting the statistics associated with that, and so they necessarily have the expertise and the knowledge to be able to do that. In Australia we haven't done that, and I think that's the main weakness of the system, that we've got the ABS based down in Tasmania responsible for all the agricultural statistics collection, and the ABARES office in Canberra that does the farm survey stuff, and the two don't even necessarily coincide, so I think that's where the real weakness lies.
There appears to have been a breakdown in communication between the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the Australian Bureau of Agricultural and Resource Economics.
Well, that's right. They don't even have a similar definition of what constitutes a farmer. So the ABS counts everyone who produces more than $5,000 worth of output, whereas ABARES counts everyone who produces more than about $40,000 worth of output. So you've got different populations, and so when people are looking at what's happening in the farm sector, unless they're aware of what statistics they're looking at, you can get quite different impressions about what's happening.
The AFI report found that the Australian system was in need of an overhaul and long-term funding arrangements.
In comparison with the other nations we looked at, it's certainly very much underfunded. Now, we have to accept that we've got dramatically different purposes for ours. Both France and the US are using agricultural statistics to monitor the outcomes of their farm subsidy and farm support programs, which of course we don't have. So it's not surprising they spend a lot more, but the gap between what they spend and what we spend is very substantial. So I suspect that points to the fact that our service is underfunded.
Mr Keogh believes the federal government can be convinced to review the Australian agricultural statistics system.
Well, I think if it's approached from the perspective of how do we get a better system without necessarily a big expansion in the resources that the system uses, I think there's very real possibilities that the sort of changes we've suggested could achieve that. So it may well be quite attractive to government to adopt the sort of proposal we put forward as a way of getting a more efficient and a better system out of the resources we currently use.